welcome to Daly City's Small Business Commission meeting taking place on February 10, 2022 at 7:03 p.m. Thank you for joining us today. Could I get a call to order, please, Brendan?
Calling this
Oh,
meeting
I'm sorry,
to order.
not call to order. Could I get help with a Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Phipps. Appreciate it. And can I also get a roll call, please?
Commission Chair Manio,
Present.
Commission Vice Chair Hill,
Present.
Commissioner Carson, once again, Commissioner Carson. Does not seem like she is present. Commissioner Espiritu. Commissioner Espiritu.
Present.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Espiritu. With that, we have achieved quorum, and I will turn it back over to you, Commission Chair Manio.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Phipps. Glad that we reached quorum. Next, we'll be moving on to announcements and communications. First thing is approval of minutes.
Staff recommendation here is to approve the minutes from the last meeting as distributed.
Without any, no contest, do we approve the minutes from the last meeting?
Yes. Second the approval.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. Sorry, hit mute. So that passes. And next we'll move on to Small Business Commission meeting frequency. Mr. Phipps?
Thank you, Commission Chair Manio. Give me a moment to just share a screen here. Do share. And thank you. Okay, thank you, Commission Chair Manio. Good evening, everybody. This item is included on this meeting's agenda to give commissioners an update as to where we stand in regards to increasing Small Business Commission meeting frequency from 6 to 12 regularly scheduled meetings per year. The specific update to commissioners here is that we are making progress on this increase and will work with the mayor to agendize the item in the short term. Staff also plan to work with the mayor to fill the remaining vacancy on the commission, so we have a full commission when we transition to monthly meetings.
Okay.
Taking into account the required schedule or steps to revise the commission ordinance, our first potential meeting outside of our typical bi-monthly meeting schedule could be as early as May 12, 2022. And that concludes my update on this item. I am available to answer any questions.
I have a question. So to understand, so are you saying you've presented it to the city council in the mayor's office, or you have not? And if you have, has there been any discussion regarding the increase or not?
Mr. Hill, I can take that one. Yes, we have spoken with the mayor, so we'll just be agendizing that in the short term.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification and question. Any other questions? Okay, then we'll move on to item number 2, hotel site developer interviews. Mr. Phipps, you have a presentation for us?
Thank you again, Commissioner Chair Monio. This informational item is included on this evening's agenda to update commissioners as to where the city stands in connection with the disposition of the publicly owned and former RDA property located at approximately 1837 Junipero Serra Boulevard. The site is approximately 1.26 acres in size and is currently unimproved. As you can see on this site aerial, the site is located just south of the Daly City Bar Station and John Daly Boulevard, and just north of the Century Theaters and the Genesis Office Building. Due to its size and prime location, the parcel has been envisioned for future development as a hotel opportunity site. And to solicit interest from the development community, the city distributed an RFQP for the site to 56 development firms and brands in July 2021. At the closing of the RFP's application acceptance window, 5 development submissions have been received for council consideration with various proposed development concepts. In order to better understand each of the proposals, City Council invited submitting parties to present their development concepts at a special meeting scheduled for February 15th from 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. next week. And as this meeting pertains to new business and new development, we wanted to invite you all to attend the meeting as observers. And for those of you who would like to attend, please be on the lookout for an email from me containing a live stream link in the next few days. To give a quick sense of what commissioners can expect at the meeting, 4 of the 5 development teams will present their proposed concepts. Only 4 teams will be presenting. However, as one of the teams, specifically the LF George Properties team, chose to drop out of consideration after being invited to interview with City Council. So the 4 development concepts to be presented include 2 boutique 200-room hotel concepts with ancillary amenities and facilities. Those are the first 2 shown on this list: AF Canta and IBF Hospitality, Majestic Hospitality, and Equinox Hospitality. Third concept is a mixed-use hotel and residential concept, including 230 residential and hotel units, a 30,000 square foot conference center, a 30,000 square foot athletic club, and finally, a research and development office complex concept, including approximately 210,000 square feet of office space, with an expressed interest to develop additional square footage if the city would be interested in a larger development concept. I personally think that we've received a number of interesting proposals on the site and am very much looking forward to observing their presentations to council on the 15th. So hope you can all join in as well. That concludes my presentation on this item, and I am available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Are there any questions from my fellow commissioners?
Yeah, I have a question again. Yeah, I'm curious, Brandon. So this will be their initial presentation, and then will the selection, will there be a selection of the presentation, or will they come back and do a second presentation? You'll sort of narrow it down to a couple, or?
Yeah, great.
How does that process work? I'm curious.
Yeah, great question, Commissioner Hill. So following the interviews, council will not make a final determination, but they may invite additional developers back for a second round of interviews that may contain more robust details associated with certain aspects of their proposal. For example, more specific financing.
Right.
Yeah. And Tatum or Stephen, if you want to jump in and say anything in addition.
Nothing to add, but yeah, there will be no final action taken at this meeting. It's just a chance to introduce the development concepts and the developers to the council. They'll have some questions that they can ask. At a future meeting, they will decide they have some options. They might meet one that they just really like, that they want to bring back to learn more from, or they might like all of them and want to bring them all back and get more detail. But they will make that decision at a future meeting.
Yeah. Miss Tatum, when you guys put the RFP out, now is it you're just saying, okay, we have this land, you want to develop it, or is there any expectation that the city is going to provide certain incentives to attract the developers or to get them interested in developing the property?
There were no incentives included in the RFP, but we
Okay.
did identify that the site was zoned for hotel, and we marketed it to hotel developers as well as to the general population on our website.
Okay.
It's sort of for the developers, if they're asking for subsidy, that's one of the things they may talk about at the meeting, if they need some sort of subsidy or incentive to make their deal work.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
I had a question. There was 5 submissions, but I only saw 4 breakdowns. Was one not?
When we sent out the invitations for the interviews, LF George indicated that they no longer wanted to be considered and had dropped out. So we got 5 submittals, but one of them didn't stay through the process.
Just before we move on? Hearing none, thank you so much, Mr. Phipps, for that information. Very exciting news whenever we see, a vacant lot being utilized and hopefully bringing community benefit for the city.
Right. Absolutely.
And now currently we have a guest presenter, Terry Marie Counts, from the Top of the Hill Improvement Association. Thank you so much for being here with us. Are they here? I don't see them.
Thank you, Commission Chair Monio. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to Terry Marie Counts. She is a longtime Daly City resident and community member, and is the co-founder of TUFIA, the Top of the Hill Improvement Association. Terry, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Is there some place I should be speaking directly?
Oh, just to the camera.
To
here.
the camera?
It's totally
Oh, okay.
fine. They can all see you.
Okay. I was asked about what was the history of TOFIA? How did we get started? And it's kind of an interesting situation, as Stephen probably already knows and may have shared with you. There was a series of very dissatisfied postings to next door neighbor early in 2013 regarding the trash in neighborhoods and the trash along the Mission Corridor. And at some point, oh, great, you got the logo, lovely.
We got it.
A neighbor of mine posted a remark, well, listen, rather than sit there and complain, why don't we get together and do something about this? And of course, all of a sudden, everybody went silent. Oop, I got to do something. So he and I got together and talked about what we could do to make things better for our neighbors and for our businesses. And we came up with the Top of the Hill Improvement Association as a good grouping name. We don't have a slogan, just we get it done. We did write bylaws, and we put ourselves in a position at some point in time, touch wood, in the future, we can actually be a little bit more formal than we are now. We are a collection of approximately 60 residential homes in the Daly City area, representing anywhere from one person to a large family who we call upon when we have opportunities for service. I will read you Article 2 of our bylaws, as it, I think, very succinctly defines how we look at ourselves. The purpose of the association is to act as a community resource and as a forum to the membership to discuss matters of common interest. Matters of interest include, but are not excluded to, neighborhood conditions, planning of housing, roadways, parking, traffic, and land use. And meeting those goals has allowed us over time to support individual projects. That is one or more of us walking down to the Mission Street area and doing trash pickup, garden maintenance in the flower islands along Mission Street. We also have the equipment, thanks to City Hall, for doing that kind of activity in our own neighborhoods. So we're trying to keep our own areas clean. We also support the major activities promoted and coordinated by City Hall. Once a year, we support the Make a Difference Day. We support the Earth Day, which is in May. Make a Difference Day is in October. Both of these are very active and vibrant projects, and they need a lot of hands to meet the goals of the projects. You can find us on Facebook if you need to communicate, or you have a question, or you want to know how to join. We are on Facebook. We also have a Gmail address. I will read it slowly, and I'll be glad to repeat it if necessary. Tothia, TOTHIA .cares, CARES @gmail.com. Or you can send a message through the Facebook messaging system. If something comes up in the near future, and it's something you need for discussion in your meetings, or it's a burning question that just needs to be answered, if you write to Facebook or to Gmail, please also copy me at my personal address so I can jump on it for you. I am TMC, Terry Marie Counts, 94014 @yahoo.com, and I will be happy to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. The goals for Tothia for the coming year are twofold. One, I'm trying to get more people to join Tothia so we have more availability of talent to help in our projects. And secondly, I am really looking forward to establishing and maintaining a good working relationship with this commission. Some of the things that we have done locally may be of interest to you as the commission. We've not only done neighborhood cleanups, but some of the neighborhoods have gotten together and done neighborhood or street specific projects that sound like they might be kind of fun. Having a festival, if you will, at the holidays. They all decorate their curbside trees with lights. They have a little bit of a opening ceremony, and then for the holiday season, we can enjoy the lights. And as I walk through our business district between Crocker, where I live, and say further down to more like Templeton, we have a lot of lovely individual grocery stores and small businesses. And at one time, we did discuss coordinating with those businesses and putting together holiday lights for a particular holiday, such as Christmas. Kind of make a European atmosphere out of that area, and hopefully bringing in new customers for those businesses so they can enjoy the atmosphere and they can enjoy the businesses as well. Trying to think if I've missed anything for you here. Does anybody have any questions on what I've mentioned so far? They're very quiet.
I don't have a question. I just have a statement. Ms. Counts, correct?
Yes, sir. And you're Mr. Hill?
I'm Mr. Hill. Yes, I am. I own a business in the top of the hill. As a matter of fact, the name of the business is Top of the Hill Clean Laundromat. And so I'm looking forward to working with you. I've heard great things about your association, and my apologies for not getting involved sooner. But I mean, this is a great opportunity. I'm glad to finally meet you and get a little bit of history about the organization.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I cross your driveway regularly when I come down Evergreen to go to Walgreens.
Well,
And I see you are getting a bit of a challenge there because of folks hanging around and you getting trash in your garden beds. The piling up of trash on the side of your building.
that is correct.
Even the sign that that Ernie helped you put up.
Right. Ernie,
Yeah,
I haven't seen Ernie in a long time. How is he doing?
Oh, he's doing very well, thank you.
Yeah, I need to reach out to him. Yeah, you know, the city has been, Mr. Steffen and his staff have been very helpful in at least trying to address and stem the issue. My employee caught someone coming out of their car and just dumping a bag of stuff, and they jumped in and rode away before he could get the license plate. But it's an ongoing issue, and I think, and so one of the people who came in, it was a person that came into the laundromat to dump some garbage, and she said that her landlords are telling them that they're not going to buy more trash dumps or, you know, cans, and so to find somewhere else to put the trash, correct? And so I got to imagine that, you know, as waste management costs and everything else is going up, that's sort of kind of a resounding message that's happening. And so I'm not sure what the solution is, but I think one may be we need to work with waste management to figure out, or I guess whoever, Republic, to figure out how can we get bigger bins, right? So that folks won't use the city's location and streets and trash cans as their extra dumping ground. So anyway, but we're continuing to work with it and try to identify the bad actors, and just kind of, if you notice, I have part of my employee schedule, they have to go out and check and try to, you know, keep it tidy. But again, it's such a very public and an easy access place that I just think it's an ongoing issue.
Stephen, didn't we at one time talk about getting some more big belly bins around and put them around top of the hill, but someone had decided they weren't going to buy those anymore?
Right. When we still have some Big Belly. They're the kind of fancier trash receptacles that alert you when they're full, type of thing. But they switched to a monthly licensing model instead of being able to just purchase the bins outright and own them. So it's really quite costly to go that route these days.
Okay. Because I know that the idea that we approached you with was that if someone had a business and wanted one of those, that they could say sponsored by and put the name of the business on the bin. But it seems like every time I walk by, like Mr. Hill's business or anywhere along that Walgreens corridor, if you will, the bins are overflowing and stuff is just getting set around outside the bins. And it's not just garbage, it's a lot of recyclable stuff, broken toasters and things like that, that we really need to have someplace where we can maybe, instead of having our hazardous waste or e-waste days, somewhere we could consolidate that dumping. And then whoever is responsible for collecting those down at City Hall at the event could go and pick them up as part of your event.
Right.
It's getting a little disgusting.
Right. Well, it's gotten disgusting. It's beyond that. A model that I've been studying and trying to see how it could be applied to, I haven't brought it up to our problem, is the people, you know, the green bins that are there for where people are recycling or putting in clothes and items they don't want.
Right.
They, you know, we were having a similar problem, and how they attacked it was that, you know, they have more bins, bigger bins throughout the city, and but they do regular pickups. And so, and then when people call in, they say, okay, take them to these different locations. We used to have an issue, but now they've added, I've talked to them, they've added more bins. And so I'm not getting the pile up at my location anymore because they've added a few more around the area. And so they've really had a really organized, concerted way. And I think we might want to study that model and see if, and work with Republic Service to figure out how we could, have a central place where people can drop off the bigger items of trash and then, but yet get more picked up regularly. That won't solve the problem, but I think it makes it does improve the problem. You're gonna still have bad actors, but I think some people legitimately want to find a place where they can drop theirs off without having to take it to the city dump and pay, the high exorbitant fees. Mhm.
We would be happy to keep you informed of some things that we have in the pipeline right now. Leilani is working on a grant program application that could be really interesting for Daly City. And it's all for our program called Clean Daly City. So
Okay.
Some good things will hopefully come out of that grant application.
All right, sounds good.
Well, before I say thank you for inviting me, which I will, have any of you had opportunity to participate in one of our scheduled events? Something that would have been coordinated by Stephen or Leilani? Like Make a Difference Day or?
To be honest, I haven't. I wasn't aware of you until I think Mr. Stephen brought it up last year, and with COVID and everything. But I'm looking forward to participating.
Okay, well then,
back up and coming back.
What I'd like to do then, Mr. Hill, thank you for thinking about joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you. But I'd like to give you a quick summary of what you can expect if you do volunteer. The city will tell us where they want us to meet. Most often that's down at the Bepler parking lots, down below the firehouse. And you will be asked to sign a waiver of liability form indicating that you understand if something happens while you're working with us, the city is not responsible. Then the assignment of tools and gloves and other necessary materials will be done. So we all get started with nice new pair of gloves. We generally form small groups and teams so that there is a possibility of more hands organizing and focusing on things. Oh, as we've done here in the sign. Oh, look at the nice smiling man in the back row. We break up into small teams and a leader will be designated. Now, the leader is not walking down the street with a banner or anything. The leader is intended to look out for hazards on the route, to answer any questions that participants have about what they're looking at, what they're doing, and to keep you safe, because I've had fellow volunteers look out in the middle of Mission Street and they'll see a plastic bottle or something and off they go into traffic to pick it up. So somebody's got to kind of keep an eye on them and say, whoa, come on back. But you will also expect to have a very good time and meet a lot of lovely people that live in your area. So when you see them either in your business or on the street, you could wave and say, hi, I know you. So it is a lot of work, bending and picking, but we have all of the equipment ready to go, and hopefully the weather is good. So please don't feel, other than issues like Stevens brought up about, well, we don't want to be out and about in a bad period, but if in fact things are settling down as we're hearing on the news these days, hopefully this will give us all an opportunity to reunite as a community and take care of things.
Terry, is there a date set for the next upcoming Toothia Blood event?
No.
Okay.
Not at this time. I'm still waiting to hear that we've really got the all clear.
Yeah.
But if somebody wants to have some assistance with a project and they would like our advice, I'd be very glad to, either speak over the phone or give you assistance from my experience to help it go better for you, if that's all right. Okay.
Yeah, and please keep us posted in connection with any dates that you guys do end up setting.
Okay.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
That will be kind of out of the woods in the short term.
Yes, these are primarily outdoor events, but that doesn't always mean anything if people aren't careful.
Oh.
Any other questions, Mr. Hill?
No, not for me. Thank you for your service to the community.
Well, thank you, sir.
Organization, yeah.
I also wanted to take this time to thank you as well for presenting with us this evening and being here with us, and for all of the work that you do, Ms. Kantz. I actually have taken part in one of those events in 2018, I think was the time that it happened, with planting trees. And again, do you mind just kind of retelling us how we get a hold of you, especially for our top of the hill businesses that would like to seek your help or assistance with any of their projects?
Certainly, they can put a message on our Facebook page. They can email me personally, tmc94014 @yahoo. We also have a direct Tothia Gmail address, Tothia, TOTHIA .cares, CARES @gmail.com. And if I can be of any immediate assistance when you're thinking about things, you're certainly welcome to call me. I'm at up by Our Lady of Perpetual Help Church, and I can be reached at 415-239-0198. And I have in my possession some the metal pickers. I have some gloves. I have some safety vests, and I have some trash bags. So if you're thinking about maybe a couple of families on your block want to get together and give this a try, you can come on over. I'll give you my address. You come on over and pick up some supplies. We can kind of talk about what you want to do, and I'll give you words of encouragement, and you can go get started. And I'll tell Ernie you said hi.
All right, please tell him to stop by the laundromat. It's been a long time. I haven't seen him and his wife in a while.
Well, the last time I saw him was at Christmas, and she was upstairs making a Christmas pizza.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
Please tell him to stop by. I haven't seen him in a while.
I certainly
Love
shall.
to see them. Thank you.
And I'll wave next time I walk by.
Please do, or stop in and say hi.
Okay,
Love to meet you. Okay.
I just have to say, Terry has been one of our best volunteers, really, for so many years. And she cares so much about Top of the Hill. And, after we put in those gardens so many years ago now, Terry was there religiously picking up litter and taking care of them. And we are so grateful to you, Terry, for all of your hard work and for being here tonight and taking time out of your schedule to talk with us tonight. We're really grateful. So I hope we can continue that collaboration. And I know things have been on pause because of the pandemic, but 2022 is the year that those volunteer activities come back for sure. So looking forward to, setting up the next event with you and publicizing it online and getting the flyer and the word out. So
okay. All right. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
And we can follow up with the commission. We can get you all her contact information that we can email you so that you have it on hand.
Yeah. All right. So thank you.
Yeah, following the meeting, Terry, I'll make sure that you have all the contact information of our commissioners, and commissioners, I'll share the contact information that she provided as well.
And that's one of the things we talked about on the way over, setting up a series of protocol for who contacts who about what and when. So yeah, I imagine we will have almost like a directory for each other.
Right. Right.
Great, thank you again. If no other questions or comments, we just want to say thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Kantz, again, for your time this evening and for all, again, of the wonderful work that you do. Thank you. And moving on to agenda item number 5, the Legacy Business Program. This is something that we've been discussing the last few meetings. We're going to see if we can draft a program structure by way of a presentation by Mr. Phipps.
Thank you, Commissioner Chair Monio. And one last big thank you to Terry Murray Counts. Thanks so much for being here, and hope you get home safe tonight.
Well, I'm sure I'll be well taken care of.
All right.
They look quiet. They really look quiet.
Let me just pull up my presentation slides. Looks like I have a couple documents open. Thank you, Terry.
Take care.
Okay. So this item is a follow-up to previous discussions that we've had in connection with the formation of a legacy business program in the city. Thank you, Maybell, as well, for the introduction. As you recall, so we've now discussed the potential for a legacy business program at 2 previous Small Business Commission meetings. First on June 10, second on December 9. At each of these meetings, there was expressed interest from commissioners in creating a program structure for a potential legacy business program. Thanks for all of your feedback. Thanks to all of your feedback and direction. We've created a draft program structure for your review and initial comment this evening. As previously brainstormed, staff feel that a legacy business registry is the most feasible and prudent way to start a legacy program, with initial goals of recognizing and celebrating the longstanding community serving and culturally relevant businesses in the city, and providing a tool for education and promotional assistance to legacy businesses to encourage their continued viability and success. So as indicated by commissioners at a previous meeting, understanding local conditions is an important step in creating any kind of legacy business program that's a reflection of the business community. With this in mind, ECD staff worked with the Department of Finance to evaluate historic business license data for businesses operating in the city for more than 10, 15, and 20 years. So based on our evaluation of data, only a small number of businesses were said to have operated in the city for more than 15 and 20 years. Specifically, only 25 businesses were shown operating in the city for more than 20 years, and only 35 businesses were shown operating in the city for more than 15 years. With such a limited amount of business license data for businesses operating in the city for more than 15, 20 years respectively, staff feel that a 10-year operation threshold is the most suitable operating eligibility criteria for a local legacy business program, as it will allow for a variety of businesses to be considered for nomination while maintaining a sense of historic significance. We've defined a number of other eligibility criteria for qualification as a legacy business, as you can see here. In addition to the 10-year operating threshold verified through evaluation of historic business licenses, staff is recommending we allow businesses to have ceased operations for no more than 2 years to account for any hardships encountered during their operations, COVID-19 as a current day example. Additionally, we feel any legacy business must contribute to the history or identity of the city and be committed to maintaining the physical features or traditions, that define the business. Businesses must also be in good standing with the city in the sense that no pending complaints should exist against them. Regarding business size, staff recommend that eligible businesses must have less than 100 employees across all locations to ensure that chain stores are excluded from legacy business membership. And regarding reported income, staff recommend that eligible businesses must report less than 1 million in annual gross receipts to ensure that only small businesses, per Daly City's definition, are included on the registry. Finally, staff currently have not recommended any restrictions on specific ownership structures, but are open to any feedback or ideas from commissioners on that. Regarding the nomination process for the Legacy Business Registry, staff are recommending that businesses be nominated by members of the Small Business Commission, and that the number of nominations be limited to 2 businesses per commissioner, which would maximize nominations at 10 businesses per year, assuming a full commission. Following the nomination, it is recommended that the Small Business Commission review the business's eligibility at a regularly scheduled meeting where you guys will provide comment and feedback, as well as recommendation on the nomination to City Council. City Council will then hear the Commission's recommendation at a regularly scheduled meeting and make their final determination as to whether the nominated business will join the registry. So thank you, everyone. Yeah, that concludes my presentation on this item. I will now turn the floor back over to you, Commission Chair Manio, and open the discussion up to the group. As far as discussion is concerned, yeah, of course, feel free to take it in whatever direction you would like. But for this evening, I'm particularly interested in any feedback you have on the draft legacy program structure elements that we've presented to you this evening. And as always, yeah, I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Phipps, for presenting this and creating the presentation for us. Do any of my fellow commissioners have comments or questions about the information that was presented?
Mr. Hill, you're on mute.
Thank you. I feel like the workday commercial. And you guys talking, so you're on mute. At first comment, I just want to give you guys kudos. The draft looks great, and it looks like a lot of thought has gone into making the program effective. Question is, when they did the analysis, and I know there was some discussion at our last meeting about, from a timing standpoint, how many years in business that make a legacy business more, I don't want to say prominent, but that really kind of leans into it being a legacy business versus a start. And I think we had threw out kind of 15 and above or 20. When you did the analysis, did you determine how many businesses that fit between the 10 to 15 year analysis? Because I know you're showing 700 in the 10-year range, but I think I still hold the opinion 15 years and above, really more like 20, really when I think of legacy. But I'm curious how many businesses were closer to 15 than closer to 10. And if you didn't do the analysis, that's fine, just say that. And then have you given some thought to our commissioners who have businesses? Do they qualify for the legacy program, or are they excluded by virtue of the fact that they are on the commission? For example, I've had this business I've been the owner of this particular business for 8 years, coming on 8 years in May, but it's been around. It was when I purchased it, it had operated 25 years in the Daly City community. So, can someone speak to that, please?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Hill, for your questions. So per your first question, we did evaluate historic business license data for 10, 15, and 20 years in the city, as you can see on this slide. And one of the things that we've noted is that the number of businesses that are data-based in our licensing files past 15 years drastically drop off. So we found within the category of businesses operating in the city for more than 10 years, there is a nice number of businesses to select from, 723 to be exact. When we cut that number down to 15 years, we found that 723 goes away very quickly, and we're left with a very small number of businesses, 35 specifically, which in my view is not a sufficient amount of businesses to represent an entire registry. And then that case worsens as we move into 20 years, only 25 businesses.
Right.
The good thing is that if we do choose to, let's say, for example, adopt a 10-year historic threshold, obviously that doesn't preclude businesses operating more than 15 and 20 years from being nominated. And in fact, perhaps we would want to give even greater focus to those businesses. They're overqualified for that eligibility criteria, as it were, and maybe they would perform even more strongly in other elements of our eligibility criteria. For example, having a cultural significance in the city. So that would be my answer to the first question. That historic data, it doesn't reflect that 15, 20 years is an appropriate threshold based on limited numbers. Per your second question.
Well, so, I'm sorry, let's go back to the first, because I don't think you answered the question, and I'll restate it. The question was between the 10 to 15-year threshold, when you get your analysis, did you guys extract any data on the number of business of the 723 or the number within the 5-year gap? Did you have an idea of how many of them were closer to 15 or were more or were a higher percentage closer to 10?
Got it. Yeah, apologies. We did not evaluate individual years from 10 to 15. But that certainly could be a follow-up step if that's direction from commission.
I mean, I like the idea now that you're setting up a registry of having more to choose from. I like the idea of having more to choose from. I just think it seems like a large percentage, which is interesting, fall within that 10 to 15. And I would be curious, because 1 year change, and then you have like X, you may have a higher percentage that go into 15 years or above, right? So
it is interesting. I just high level, and I don't think that I'm not going to state any explicit association, but I think that the 2008 financial crisis might be one of the variables that has influenced this.
Right.
But the businesses coming into the city after 08 crisis are going to be the 10 plus.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Sure.
And then the last question, I don't know who wants to address that.
Yeah, I'm happy to take an initial stab at it. I think that it would be up to us to structure that. My initial comment, and yes, Stephen, Tatum, Leilani, feel free to jump in. But my initial thought is that since small business commissioners are the ones that create the initial nomination for the business,
right.
I would say that, for example, Charles, if you wanted your laundromat to be included on the registry, you would not be able to nominate yourself.
Right. Exactly. Or vote.
And you would probably, have to take a back seat to the presentation where your business is considered.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
But ultimately, it's up to council.
Right.
So I personally am okay with, creating ordinance language that would allow for commissioners to be members of the registry. But I would not allow you guys to nominate yourselves.
Absolutely.
That's my initial thought.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't want to vote for myself because then I probably would vote wrong.
Still great comments and questions, Commissioner Hill. Commissioner Espiritu, I just wanted to make sure you had time and space to make any comments or ask any questions if you had any. Okay, while we give Commissioner Espiritu some time to formulate if he needs to, I just want to say, I think this is such an important program for Daly City and our small business community. When I think legacy, I don't just think time, right? I don't think like, okay, they've been here for 50 years or whatever. To me, time is more of like the result of being inspirational to the community. So legacy to me means it's self-perpetuating. it's empowering us. It's empowering us to continue to work. It's empowering us to continue to shop or you know, do business at these places. And it's not just because it's profitable that we nominate these businesses, but it's because they had a positive impact on our community, on you know, our residents and the people that live here and shop there. So to me, that's what I think of when I hear legacy business. So it's not just the importance of time, even though that marker in and of itself is extremely important because of all of the economic downturns that we have gone through with COVID and the '08 crash and everything else. If you've been able to withstand that, that really is a testament to how you operate as a business person. So I think that's important. Maybe we could entertain something where it's like a bit more of a tiered nomination where we have the 10-year and then maybe possibly a 25-year. So it separates them in category, but also just shines light on both of them. Especially if we have a 10-year one that's been doing really positive things in the community. I wouldn't want to shut them out just because somebody else has been here longer. Not to say that being here longer is an easy feat. It's just, you know, there's different variables that we need to take into consideration when we do nominate these businesses.
I agree. And I think we, in consistent with what your thought about impact to the community, somehow part of one of the criteria is that we're going to figure out a way to get some community feedback, because sometimes you find that businesses are impacted, the community knows about them, they're impacted, we may not know about them, but they, you know, but I think it's just sort of natural to follow. But businesses been around a long time, they can't have been around if they're not serving the community in some capacity. I mean, and there are a lot of silent businesses out there that just go keep consistently, be it the grocery store or the restaurant, you know, number of folks, and they, you know, for example, I did not know, I'm not sure that the guy who I ended up, Dr. Fields, was a, I don't think he was involved in a lot of public community marketing or branding. But at his funeral, I was surprised of how many people from the community he had supported. So many people, colleges from the community of Daly City, and it just blew me away, right? So it was kind of one of those silent servers, right? And so I think there are other businesses out there like that doing different things, impacting the community. And I encourage, I mean, not encourage, but I like your idea of figuring out a way that we can find those people, those businesses, and make sure that they're recognized for not just length of time, but kind of impact. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill.
Sure.
Commissioner Espirito, did you have any comments or questions? And does anybody have any questions about or comments about the, there we go, thank you, Mr. Phipps, the gross receipts? Do we want to keep it under $1 million, or are we going to consider people that are making over that? And what does that number look like? Do you have that data, Mr. Phipps?
So yeah, great question, or at least great point. I think that this is an important aspect of what businesses we will be able to nominate as part of a legacy business registry. I think the question we need to ask ourselves is, you know, are we a small business legacy registry, or are we a business or legacy business registry in general? To what extent do we want to highlight small businesses here? And you know, I think that there is maybe discussion to be had related to, yeah, should we even involve ourselves with businesses that are qualified as small business? My initial thought is that a business that makes more than $1 million a year could very well have started as a small business in Daly City, you know, and if they did start as a small business but now make over $1 million, it doesn't make sense to me why we would exclude them from being nominated, because those are exactly the kinds of businesses that I think this commission wants to support and see succeed. So that's just, a high level comment from me. You guys can do, with that what you will, but yeah, I think it's a good thing to call attention to, Commissioner Monio.
And if I could add to that, the reason why that qualifying factor is in there is because of the scope of the Small Business Commission. And as commissioners, if you're making nominations, it should really be within your scope of really being focused on the small business community and supporting that community and helping it grow. So that's why that was a specific qualifying factor. If we wanted to talk about a bigger scope, it doesn't really fit exactly with the commission's roles and duties to really kind of help the small business community. So that's the reason why that ended up on the list.
Right. So, Stefan, and so SBA and the government considers a small business, and I found this out because I was in the Goldman Sachs Small Business Program. Any business 75, or I think 0 to, it goes up as far as 400 and something, less than 500 million, which was amazing to me, right? So when you talk about scope in Daly City, how did you define, how did you arbitrarily come up with the $1 million as the limit threshold versus, another dollar amount?
Sure. So
yeah, Brandon presented on this early on with the commission. So I don't know if you have that at your fingertips, Brandon, about the methodology there for defining small business here, but there are multiple definitions for small businesses out there. So go ahead, Brandon.
Thank you, Stephen. And yeah, thanks for your question, Commissioner Hill. Yeah, the $1 million threshold was based on evaluation of gross receipts data for all businesses in the city. And we had based that 1 million off of what we felt like was a proper representation or reflection of a small business in our community.
Okay.
So, and fact of the matter, for City of Daly City, the vast majority of our small businesses, or excuse me, of our businesses, no matter how you slice it, make less than $1 million per year. Specifically, that's 80% of all businesses. Okay. And I think, let's see, I can give another statistic. 25% of businesses make more than $500,000 a year only. So the vast majority of Daly City businesses, 75%, actually report less than $500,000 in gross receipts.
Right. So would it be wise then to language it as such that, a minimum $1 million criteria for a business, or over $1 million, but for a business established in Daly City to some extent. So to your point earlier, if a business started in Daly City and now they're doing maybe $1.5 million or $2 million, and been around that long and they've had that growth over that period of time, I think it would be unfair to them to exclude them for consideration as a legacy business. Right.
So are you suggesting that maybe the criteria would be that when they initially started in Daly City, their gross receipts were less than 1 million?
That's correct. That's right. So if they've grown that over 10, let's say they've been in a minimum of 10 years and their gross receipts now at year 12, 13, whatever is over $1 million, I think they still should qualify as a small business or a legacy business. I don't even know if it's small businesses that, I mean, obviously, we're the Small Business Commission, but I think qualifying them as a legacy business, because they were a small business that hopefully every small business dream on goal is to not be a big business, but be an improved business, a continually growing business. So I think we should still honor them.
Mr. Phipps, do you have the data of the 20% that is over $1 million and how far above $1 million they are? Is it like drastic? Is it only up to 1.5?
I can give you percentages and income thresholds. So 4% of Daly City businesses make more than 5 million per year. 5% of Daly City businesses make between 2 and 5 million a year, which means 9% of Daly City businesses make more than 2 million per year. 7% of businesses make between 1 and 2 million, which means 16% of businesses report income of greater than 1 million per year, roughly.
Right.
And then 9% between 500K and 1 million, which is where we get 25% of businesses make more than 500,000 a year in reported gross receipts.
So by capping it at 1 million, we're taking out 16% of the businesses.
Potentially 16 to 20%. Yeah, but we will be inclusive of around 80%.
80%, right. And these are the 16% are still are businesses that have operated in Daly City. What's the correlation between the time in which they've operated in Daly City?
Yeah, we have not gone into the nitty-gritty like that.
Okay.
Yeah, the income data that I'm reporting now is more current data.
Okay.
Not necessarily historic.
I think, obviously, we still, I think, this is a great first start, no question. And I think you guys have done a great job in scrubbing the numbers. Think about it. The last meeting when we were asking the question, we didn't have this data. So this has been definitely progress. I think a future discussion, my vote, if we were voting on it, would say, if you take it up to 2 million or 1.75, you now, instead of 80%, you get 90% of the participants, right? And then you let the age, the length of time, sort of will be another criteria that will obviously some will be eliminated, and some will not, right? So I'm more in favor of the businesses that started here and kind of grew to that number, as opposed to just came in already with that number and then landed here within the last few years. Yeah. But a great first start. Good stuff.
I agree, and I agree with you as well, Commissioner Hill, that the businesses that have grown here show that they've grown with the community and not just came, with their big bankrolls and started out that way. So I totally agree with you, Mr. Hill, on that. Did we discuss what this actually means for the recipients of these awards?
So we have not gone into the nitty-gritty on that. I think what is at least initially envisioned is that we create some kind of an interactive mapping tool associated with the registry, and then have businesses featured on this registry, on the map, but also independent of the map, maybe having some kind of a web page or a one-pager, or advertising, marketing materials associated with the business. Let's tell the story of the business, who are the owners, and I think finally place them on a list where they will be some of the first businesses that we reach out to, or at least be on a priority list as related to provision of financial and technical assistance.
I like I like that. I'm not sure we got that. The symbolization of the legacy business placard. That looks great. I see it, envision it being in someone's window. Also on the website you spoke about, I think it could be a great marketing tool. Those businesses, as the city markets itself to other businesses, to attract them to say, look at what businesses have grown in this is what we offer, that we businesses are able to grow and develop and have long standing within our community. So
Yeah, I think a placard would be great as well.
I also love the symbolism of having that plaque and that recognition. And I look to other cities, albeit bigger than ours, that have had long-standing legacy business programs and what they do for those awardees. And they do band together and help with, I know the city just helped with one of their legacy businesses from being evicted. So, you know, I think that as we move, we should think about what those possible perks may look like, not just you know, throwing some marketing efforts at the business, but to help them, which is great. But I think if, especially if we're looking at a business and calling it a legacy, but they're still struggling through these times, I think it would be really important to be helpful in that as well. Great discussion, you all. Really appreciate the insight, the feedback, all of the information. Thank you again, Mr. Phipps, for your work, and whoever else helped with putting this presentation together. And really, really appreciate all of this information. And I think that we're definitely moving the needle along, especially, you know, from where we were last year and to where we are now. And I think that once we get the process of formulating the structure of how we want this to look, do we need to then take it to council to approve it? Or run me through the process quickly, how that looks.
Stephen, would you like to answer this?
So once we have more finalized qualifying factors here, then we will create a staff report recommending the creation of a legacy business program. It will be an agenda item at a city council meeting. You are all welcome to attend and provide public comment as well. Staff will present that program to council. They will provide their input. They'll also get the history of how this was developed with the Small Business Commission, of course. And then we'll get their feedback if there's any changes that they would like to see made to the program. And then we'll proceed from there with their approval. And then after that, we would really set up the infrastructure to allow for nominations and collect all the data and all of that.
Can someone at least give me provide some clarification on the bullet point number 3, committed to maintain the physical features or traditions that define the business? How, I mean, what did you have in mind when you, listed that, and how do we measure that?
Sure. So that is good question. So that is one of the qualitative factors associated with eligibility, and is one that will be qualitatively discussed at the regularly scheduled commission meeting when the nomination is considered. Okay. But let's just do kind of a thought experiment case study. So let's say Francis's Flowers. I don't think that that's a city existing business in the city. Let's say that they have been in the city for 15 years, and they do contribute to the history or identity of the city unequivocally. Let's say Francis's Flowers is nominated, and during the meeting, when we do our background on the business, we find out that Francis actually wants to keep Francis's Flowers, but make it into a business that paints flowers instead of sells flowers, or makes it, or will change the outside of it that's been the same for 20 years, that has a beautiful flower sign, into a more modern business that does something completely different. So the main idea is that we want the business to keep doing what it's doing. We don't want the business to change the fundamental aspects of itself that make it a contributing factor to the history or the identity of the city. So I don't know if my case study was helpful, but we want them to keep doing the good stuff that they're doing, in short.
Right. No, the reason I seem a little bit not perplexed, but the thought that comes to my mind is, I think fundamentally, I think that the whole ideal of COVID ushered in a point where people had to pivot, right, to stay alive and change in some ways fundamentally what they were doing or how they did it, right, or structurally how it looked different. And I think we can go into more details, but I think we got to be thoughtful about how that qualitative piece, because the business that's been around and had to pivot in order to survive. We want to make sure we're not excluding them for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, for example, if the business went more digital over COVID, we don't want to exclude them from being nominated because they improved their business. Yeah, but changed it.
Yeah, because some people, I know some restaurants shut down physical locations and went into ghost kitchens, right? But just operating under the same name. That's right.
No, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
So I want to thank commissioners for all your feedback this evening, and then just kind of confirm, I think, potential next steps. Sounds like we want to continue to evaluate the eligibility criteria, nomination criteria, and specific things that the Legacy Business Registry will actually do once assuming it is approved, once it's up and running. But what I've specifically heard from you guys is wanting to explore the threshold a little bit more, particularly between 10 and 15 years, and particularly between 1 million businesses that report 1 million and 2 million in gross receipts. Is that accurate?
I think that's accurate from my point of view, right? I'm not sure. Commissioner Milano? She's still on?
Yeah, if there's any other direction, feel free to express it.
Well, just for me, as far as the direction of what does this mean for the businesses? What is their motivation to, be on this list or stay on this list? And for me, I think what you said, Mr. Phipps, with the promotional activities, being able to provide even technical assistance, and as in other cities, maybe protections and possible financial assistance, I think would be great if that's something that we could do.
Got it.
Any other
Thank you.
comments or questions? No? Mr. Espiritu? Okay. With that, we shall move on. Thank you again for the lively discussion and all of your input and feedback on this such important program that we are formulating. So moving on to number 6, we will be having our regularly scheduled meeting April 14th, correct, Mr. Phipps?
Correct.
Great. And I missed it. I'm sorry. I just steamrolled right past announcements and communications. If anybody has any. Okay. Sorry about that. Then we'll move on to public comment. Was there any public comment for tonight's meeting?
No public comment. Thank you.
Great. Then I will adjourn this meeting at 8:16 p.m. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Thank you all. Great to see you.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
and
Good
happy
seeing
New
you
Year.
guys. Happy New Year, right.
Night.
Right. Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Night.
Night.